How many people would you like to see immigrate to the United States per year?
Let's see. So let me say, like during the next century, I think 1 billion people would be great.
Good God.
This country, I mean, look, if you drive across this country, it's virtually empty. And here's the thing: if you know, so
Are
what,
you saying
like,
virtually? I mean, do you think there are any limitations on resources that would? I mean, there doesn't seem to be any. Certainly, any environmental, ecological aspect of what you're saying. I mean,
ah,
that would be an incredible burden to place both on the economic infrastructure, the industrial infrastructure, but also the energy and environmental infrastructure that keeps a place from becoming run into the ground.
yeah, great question, Andrew. I mean, just to get an idea about how this is not crazy. And by the way, whenever I sell my ideas, I always push very radical views. I don't bother writing books on moderate views; it would bore me, and someone else has already written it. But my goal is always just to have people walk away saying that guy isn't crazy. Not that he's right, just that he's not crazy. So, just on this theme of Brian's not crazy, when the U.S. first started, it had about 3 million people. Now we have over 100 times that many. That's 2 centuries. It is not at all crazy to think about increasing your population size by a factor of 10 per century. It happened, and though obviously there were a bunch of growing pains and complaints, like it was awesome. It was awesome to grow America from 3 million to 300 million people. In terms of environmental effects, yeah.
Let me just unpack that a little bit because I'm interested in some of the basic assumptions you have behind all this. It was awesome. Like, what was awesome about it? Is size always better? Is bigger always better than smaller? I'm
Well,
just confused of
yeah.
why it is inherently awesome.
Well, I mean, most basically, I think it's better for a lot of people to enjoy a good life than a small number of people to enjoy a good life. If you could either have 10 happy people on Earth or 1 billion happy people on
But
Earth,
let me come back at you on that. Surely, people tend to prefer to stay where they grew up, and most people they're not always itching to leave a place. It's not that it's a minority of people that want to leave their homes and start out all anew. People like me and probably you, but we're a minority.
well, it depends on how bad the country you're coming from is. So I think it's pretty clearly like probably most of Syria wants to leave. Probably 90% of Haiti would leave, and over the course of 10 years. So yeah, I mean, like it's true. I don't think many Canadians want to leave Canada, although I think 5% actually would take the deal over the course of 20
but
years.
the point is this: why not? Why not make an effort to improve the politics and the economics of these societies in order to make them decent places to live? What you're doing, in a way, is providing a safety valve for every failed regime in the world to continue to fail, because it will always know that its most ambitious or able citizens will leave. And so you're creating a disincentive for reform in governments around the world that need to keep and retain their own citizens. What would you
Yeah.
say to that objection to this?
Yeah, you're full of great questions, Andrew. All right, so I'd say yeah, I mean,
Why they have me
here's
doing
the
this?
really big thing. Fixing countries is the hardest thing in the social world. Like someone says, "Hey, why can't we just go and fix Kyrgyzstan?" It's like, gee, where do we start? And like, how would we do it? And what's going to happen if we try? And it's really hard. And very smart people have been working on this issue for at least a century. And there's some success stories, and there's also things that happen that were good, and the people afterwards like, why? And then there's other cases where they thought it would work and it didn't. It's just really complicated to figure out how to fix a country. And even if you did have the right formula, getting people to follow it is like pulling teeth. Whereas just moving people from a dysfunctional country to a functional country is extremely cheap and easy, and it's almost foolproof in terms of how it works for large numbers. So,
Unless it
yeah,
turns the previously
yes,
functional country
unless
into a
it does, yes,
primarily
yes,
dysfunctional one in
that
which it's
that
it's lose all
yes.
around.
Yes, that is the worry, but yeah, yes. Okay, so I mean, I'm happy to talk about cases like that, and there
Yeah.
are a few examples where I think it really did happen, but I think that it is actually more common for things to go the other way, where when a country is losing their best people, then normally they do two things. One is they build machine guns to the border and say no one gets out of here alive, which is the old Soviet approach. And the other one is people are saying, could we do something that would make people not want to leave? And I
Right.
think it actually tends to be at least a mild push for reform. I don't think that it's all that strong, because usually dysfunctional countries are so dysfunctional that it's hard for them even to admit that they're screwed up and need to change. But this is one of the things that does at least get people noticing is, gee, people really want to leave here. Maybe we could do something a little bit better, possibly.